We will remove the 2026 electric vehicle availability standard, which specifies the share of new vehicle sales that must be electric next year.
So Carney paused the EV mandates, for now that is, but don't be fooled, the WEF 2050 net zero agenda is still on, and tonight I'll show you exactly why. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. So you heard it, that was announced today. Mark Carney is removing the EV mandates that he's been pushing so hard to be in place by 2035. Why did he did it? Why did he do it? I'll explain to you why I believe he did it, but I'll also explain why they're just paused. This is the same thing that he did with the carbon tax, the consumer carbon tax. He did not remove it. He just slid it down. And this is no different. So
yeah,
I will.
Interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wonder what the sort of what reason did he give? What was his calculus? I wonder what his angle is here.
Really? It's pretty simple. Because of the tariffs. Obviously, you don't. I have a video for you that will show you why, but that's pretty clear that obviously he's selling the optic of it's all because of the tariffs. And he's also, by doing that, he's also going to bring in the Chinese EV, because remember, he put in place a 0% tariffs on about 50,000 a year of new EV.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I found a short video that kind of explains it, but it's interesting because now his base is like, you know, the eco warriors out there are not happy that he's doing that. So let's listen to this video that explains a bit what Carney's doing.
Okay.
Tariffs have changed the situation for Canadian automakers.
We have an auto sector, because of the massive change in U.S. trade policy, is under extreme pressure.
So he's pausing the Trudeau-era mandate that next year would require them to make at least 1 in 5 cars they sell electric.
They've got enough on their plate right now. So we're taking that off.
Carney says the government will launch a 60-day review of the mandate. Car makers won't have to meet the quota next year. Environmentalists say it's the second major environmental retreat following Carney's decision to scrap the carbon tax.
To be honest, we don't have a clear indication of the extent to which this government, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, remains committed to fighting climate change.
The auto industry says pressure from Washington made the change necessary.
We need the White House to change course. We need to invest in ourselves. I'm glad that we punted right now, but I'm also glad that we're still committed to it.
But not everyone is convinced the industry really is that committed.
If you're serious about selling electric vehicles, you should be introducing...
Again, that guy we don't need to listen to. He's always blabbering at the end of those videos. It's always the same clips. It's always the same clip. I don't know why it's always him, but he's always repeating the same thing. It's not enough. It's not enough. We need to... It's always the same douche at the end here. But so as you saw in the video, Mark Carney paused it. And if you look everywhere, it's not canceled. It's paused, just like he did with the consumer tax. Because we need to keep in mind something here. Oh, before I go through why we need to keep this in mind, I was looking on their website today, and guess what is still there? Like, let me bring that up. This is just to prove my point that he just canceled it, and it's just a matter of time before it gets back. We don't need to go down the conspiracy theory, although I will, but we don't need to. Look at that. That's their website as we speak right now. 100% zero emission car sales by 2035. This is still there.
That looks so
as you
crazy.
Can tell.
Like, what a crazy policy.
But that's what it is. Remember, that's their policy.
Yeah, no,
to have 100%.
Yeah, no, I know.
New cars be EV by 2035.
Like I know it.
Insane.
It's just seen in writing. Like I'm like, holy shit, that really is fucking insane policy. Like I knew it was, but sometimes you just kind of see it from a different angle. But yeah, that's wild.
So it's still on their website. It's still there. So that proves the point that I'm trying to make, that they're not removing it. They're just pausing it. And, you know, I spoke about this not too long ago because, but remember this though, this is what is very important for the people out there that weren't there 2 weeks ago when I did a deep dive on Mark Carney's background. But we have to remember who that guy is, who this prime minister is. He was on the board of the he was on the WEF board of trustees when the 2050 net zero agenda was written and introduced to its members. He was the special envoy for the UN on climate change and finance. His book Value is all about how we need to consider climate in every single financial and economic decision that we make. Brookfield is heavily invested in green energy. And if you remember, the energy transition that is going from the old model that is oil and gas, what we're seeing today, to green energy is reported to be worth over $100 trillion. That is trillion with a T over the next 25 years. That 2 trillion just in Canada. That's $7 billion a month, $80 billion a year. So there's no way in hell that that guy is dropping his green agenda, considering that he's been babbling about it for at least 2 decades. And I would argue that $100 trillion plus is probably the biggest financial opportunity in world history. That dude ain't dropping the ball. He's just putting it on hold right now to try to get back some momentum. And I guarantee you that he's bringing it back extremely, extremely soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair, criticism, and it's good to have that sort of commentary. For me, I'm just like, usually whenever we talk about politics, I just call it balls and strikes. I'll give credit where it's due, regardless of how I feel about the person. And certainly everything you said is valid, and we need to keep an eye on for that, and that will change if he does try to go back. Then what I'm about to say is obviously invalid. But for right now, I would say at least, good job on that. You did something right. I'm less concerned with the personalities involved than I am in getting shit done. So, when something gets done that's good, I'll applaud it.
Yeah, but you can't be naive in thinking that it's going to stand, because everywhere it says pause.
You gotta
like
keep
he is not removing. You have
Yeah.
to, because you need to know who we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with just
Yeah.
a Justin Trudeau here. We're dealing with somebody that is a self-proclaimed globalist, and we know that his end goal is that $100 trillion. Oh yeah, of course,
to put pressure. Just in case these elites do think about doing that stuff, at least if people are talking about it, it might make them pause.
It's just a matter of him getting too much heat right now. I think he needs a win. Yeah, because just for optic wise, because it's been so bad with what he's been doing ever since becoming PM. He hasn't had a win. Can you think of really one win that Carney had since April? Because he's been we're talking about 10 months, almost a year. Can you really think about a win? Because all I see from this guy is negative.
Well, I'm just going to look on results only. Everything it still applies. Like we do need to keep an eye. It's not like, okay, well, that's done. You got to keep an eye on this guy. But I would say what he did with the EV mandate and the scrapping or the dialing down, and that's, of course, that is not enough. He should have gotten rid of it, but dialing it down is better than not doing anything at all. So I would say those two things are things I approve of. I would have liked any prime minister to do those things from a policy standpoint. The question is, are they going to hold?
Of course not. They're not. But if you look, okay, let's say that those are win, which I don't agree at all. They're just distractions. But let's say I'll say that those two are wins. We're talking about a guy right now that's spitting in the face of our biggest ally, our biggest customer, to try to align with China. That's a massive problematic. We're talking about a guy that's trying to push
don't get me wrong.
Bill C2.
There's losses.
No, but Bill C2,
there's
C8,
big
C9,
losses.
C12, C16, C63, gun grab.
The L's
Like I
outweigh
can
the
go
W's.
oh
There's
by
far
a
more
mile.
L's. Yeah,
By
far
a
more L's
mile.
than Dubs,
There's
for
a
sure.
great comment I want to
No.
take here from Wild 1957 Flower. How many charge stations are there in Canada right now? Well, here's what's very interesting, and that's why I mentioned Brookfield, because the point in the matter is that one of the things that Brookfield is heavily invested in is something that we call charge as a service, so CAAS. So they implement charging stations. That Brookfield is heavily involved in how they have the technology and they implement it. And if you look, they have a bunch of charging stations in the state of California. And one of the things that they do, it's actually pretty brilliant, is that they own the properties. So they will buy the properties and then they'll build those stations on them. So, because one of the big arms of Brookfield is properties. That's one of the things is real estate. They have a lot of real estate and they own a lot of green technology. So now they're capable of mixing both. It's like, look at a McDonald's. Why are McDonald's so valuable? Because they have a very simple, here's a manual, you can follow that manual. They have the technology or the methodology on how to do something. Right? But one of the thing is, if you look at McDonald's, they're normally in the heaviest downtown centers in the world. So just real estate wise, that McDonald's is worth a bunch of money. So they're heavily invested, and that's the whole point. You're making a great point, Wildflower, by asking where are those charging stations. The point is that they're not there, nowhere close to what's needed to meet that 2035 target.
No. Yeah, it wasn't tenable. There's a lot of reasons why that was a ridiculous.
Of course,
policy.
But
and in a lot of ways,
it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity if you have the technology to build those charging stations, because now you're getting contract from the government. That's a beautiful thing if you're an investor.
Yeah, and it's tough to give Carney too much credit for this, because, to be honest, he didn't really have a choice. This is a non-tenable policy. There are, not in the political class, but in the behind the scenes, there are people that work in the industry that know what they're talking about. And I'm sure that they're going to Carney and saying, bro, you cannot, this fucking policy, it's just not tenable. Our grid cannot sustain it. We're not going to be able to ramp up production. What's going to end up happening is 90% of the cars sold in Canada would be Chinese EVs. It would just be a disaster. So I'm sure somewhere along the line, he realized like he would have no choice. He had to step away from this.
The thing is that he's been approached by, I think it was the top 10 manufacturers, or at least, the top 3 biggest car manufacturers in Canada. They told him as soon as he started pushing this, he's like, no, it can't happen. We cannot meet your mandate by 10 years from now. It's not possible. We're looking at less than 10% of cars right now are EVs, and they're not being.
You can't just ramp that up. That takes 10 years.
And they're not getting sold.
Yeah.
But not only that, but they're not getting sold. Like, people are not buying EVs. And see, here's another. This is oh, but Jesus, I'll just call you Dano.
Dano Washaga.
Dano. Yeah, Dano Washaga. Oh yeah, see, there you go. Dano Washaga. That's a great comment. If we boycott all this electric nonsense, his stocks will go down, and it's his 2035 emission bullshit's not going to work. And I agree with you 100%. This is exactly how you deal with policies like that. Just don't buy them. Don't buy it. I don't believe in those electric cars. I want nothing to do with those electric cars, not because I don't believe in the technology, because I know what that technology allows them to do. It's very easy to shut. They've done that with Teslas, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a few places in the world where if you don't pay your bills, Tesla shuts you down. Your car's not working anymore. They have the power to do that. And I definitely don't trust my government with that type of power over the way I move around. I don't. I really don't.
And to be honest, I don't think we need to boycott it. I think the market will the market will fail it, right? I think EV ownership is going down. I think we've peaked. I don't believe it's going up. I'll double check that, but it's not. It doesn't work here in Canada. Not at scale. Most people who have an EV also own a gasoline car as their backup.
The thing is too, one of the biggest problem with EVs, unless you're going for a higher end model like a Tesla, for example, they're not the best cars on the planet either. Yeah. But if you've seen what's coming out of China, but if you look at the cars that are coming out of China, they're insane. They're absolutely insane. Those cars are beautiful cars. They're set to be great cars. Like that video blew my mind. There's a video, I cannot remember what the Chinese brand is, but they're going against like Audi, they're going against Mercedes, and they're going against BMW from memory, and they have a bunch of speed bumps, you know, like the what you see around around schools on the street. They have a bunch of them, one after the other, literally every 2-3 feet, and all they want to test is the suspension. So all the cars go, and then the Chinese model goes after. The car does not move. The suspension is so good that the tire moves, but the car itself does not move. Yeah, I've seen those videos. Oh, but the technology in China is there. There's a good reason why he wants those EVs. Obviously, he's a massive China fan, and he's trying to align us with China. That's pretty obvious. But there's a lot of money to be made, not in Canada, but for Chinese, and if you own the technology to build the infrastructure that's required to have those electric cars. So right now, all he's going to do is going to put that on hold. He said that he's going to reinvestigate what's the best way to do it. I guarantee you that within the next year or so, he's going to open the floodgate for China EVs. There's not going to be any tariffs, because right now he's only allowing a number like 50K a year. That's what he signed. That's the deal that he made with China with no tariffs on. But I guarantee you, man, he's going to open that floodgate because he knows we can't produce them. We do not have the infrastructure to build them here. Yep.
You'd essentially have 80% of all cars that are owned in Canada are Chinese made. And that would just be a disaster on so many levels. Decimates one of our major industries, our own automobile industry. And just think of the wasted like work hours, like with these things breaking down in the winter, like that's going to add up too. Cause it's going to be regular and frequent, right? Like, taking a couple extra hours to get to work, one person does it, it's not going to hurt the GDP. But if it happens regularly to 1 million people, it actually will. There's a lot of reasons why this is terrible policy. And it had to be, it should have been repealed fully, not just paused or rolled back.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. He spent most of his adult life talking about this crap. So you know that this is not going away. He is not going to drop the EV mandates or the 2050 WEF net zero emission goals. He's just gone in. He is just going to put them on hold until he gets a few wins. Or, a lot of people are starting to talk about how they do believe that Mark Carney is going to have an election in April or late spring just to win a supermajority. And if he does win a supermajority, he can basically push anything through. Because although I don't think so, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Because even Rachel Parker a couple of days ago was talking about this. And now more and more people are talking about it because he's doing extremely well in the polls. And I would not be surprised if there's an election right now. If Pierre Poilievre remains the same type of clown that he is right now, just being a liberal in blue, if there's another election tomorrow, he ain't winning. Absolutely not. He's not winning that election. Mark Carney is going to win in a landslide. And that's assuming that I trust our voting system, which I clearly don't. I do not trust it whatsoever. And the last election proved it. But it might be happening. And if he does, he'll be able to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So what you were just saying about, Carney, he's going to go back to this stuff. So I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit here, and I'm going to sort of like make a bit of a bold prediction. I don't know what Mark Carney specifically is going to do, but I'm going to zoom out. I actually think a lot of these guys, these elites who have been harping on climate change, I got a feeling like it's going to reverse. I think they're just going to stop doing it. And I think it's already started. Because I mean, me and you, we don't really necessarily believe the same things. I don't think that like most of these elites are like, fucking Illuminati, like conspiring to take over the world, and this is what they're doing. I think they're just greedy people. They realize they could make fucking a couple $1 trillion on it, or a couple dozen $1 trillion, and they've basically done that. They've basically squeezed as much juice out of that stone as they can get. I thought when Bill Gates a couple months ago was like, actually, it's really not that big a deal. Anyways, I was like, yeah, that's the turning point. And it'll take years for this to play out. I'm not saying immediately, but I just think like I don't hear as much about it anymore from the type of people that you normally do, from the media, from the elites. They're just not really talking about it that much anymore.
Don't underestimate. So here's the thing. This is where conspiracy theorists and the normies, I will use Tracy Wilson's word, the normies tend to disagree. That there's not people, a very select few that's in power that rule the world. Which, just look, there was a great graph. I should, well, you'd be absolutely.
I might be wrong.
No, but you would be, because just look at BlackRock and Vantage. Damn, what's the name? Shit, I can't remember. There's literally two companies out there, two investment firm. It's BlackRock's and something that's Vanguard. That basically own a portion of every single company that's out there. And within their ranks, they're ranking those companies based on their green agenda. They don't talk about this out loud, but this is out there. They will decide who they lend money and invest based on the green energy. So but the thing is you said they were, so for, even if you don't believe that there's a few men that control all the world, okay, cool. You said greed. This is the biggest financial opportunity in the world that the world has ever seen. The numbers I'm seeing is anywhere between 100 to almost 300 trillion, sorry. 100 to 300 trillion dollars. This is and they don't even care. That's why they call it the energy transition. They don't care about the final product. They just want to get involved in the middle, taking it from oil and gas to wind, water, electricity, whatever. That's what they're interested in. I don't think that Mark Carney actually believes in climate change. I don't think he believes it at all. I think he knows it's bullshit. He's just, it's a way to make money. At the end of the day, he's just a greedy little man. And even if he's not one of the guys, or he doesn't work for the guys that are controlling the whole world, you don't even need to believe in that in order to say that greed-wide, 100 to 300 trillion dollars, that is a massive amount of money that I cannot comprehend. Like, a trillion with a T doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, that part I do believe. So I should clarify, like, I believe that the rich and powerful are running the world by and large. I just don't think they're doing it for, like, they're not, I don't believe it's like the Illuminati trying to usher in one world government. I think it's just rich people rigging the game in their favor to get richer. And so we agree they're doing this. Like, I don't believe people like Mark Carney I don't even think they probably believe in climate change. I think they've used it to suck trillions of dollars, because these people control policy too, right? These are connected people, so they're getting the government, to where do you think all those subsidies go, right? All those little loopholes that you get a fucking $500 million to start a battery company or whatever the fuck. Like, people like you or me don't even get those opportunities. By the time we even hear about them, they're already done, right? It's like Carlin says, it's a big club, right? And you ain't in it. But that's why I just think it's you ain't in it. Being rich. Yeah, exactly, right.
But you don't think that rich people get together and plan ways on how to get richer, like
to get more money? Yeah, no, I do. And then they rig the game, and then they rig the game in their favor. I just think it's them trying to get money and power, not necessarily like trying to usher in, like, a one world government or something like that.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
Before we get to our guest, there's two comments I want to take. Derek is saying Rob is so naive. And then the other one is 001 Rice is saying Rob's a normie.
Well, yeah,
I like
and
that
I
term.
am. Like I just
I
am.
like that
Yeah,
term.
I just am. Like, yeah, like I'm open-minded enough to leave space that I might be wrong. Like I'm certainly open to being persuaded, or certainly if there are certainly conspiracy theories or things that I had thought at the time that did turn out to be true, especially during COVID. So by no means am I I'm definitely open to being persuaded otherwise. I just I don't think any small number of humans are able to exert that much control. It's just a human nature thing. I know a lot of these people wish they could. I just don't think it's possible given human group dynamics, psychology.
I will take one last comment before we get to our guest today, just because I agree. I've seen that happening. Trevor's saying we're slowly bringing Rob over. You know, man, at the end of the day, what's the difference? What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months. So there you have it. On that note,
I mean,
Mia,
I won't deny. I've certainly since started doing the show, I've certainly have been persuaded of some things.
I'll get one good comment just so that we're not just bashing in you, like we're not bashing on you. At least Rob is not a sheep.
Rob is not a sheep.
See,
well, I appreciate
he
that.
can
Canadian.
He can be convinced. Mia, thumbs up. You hear us? Ready to go? Awesome. So we are joined by Senior Fellow at Macdonald-Laurier Institute, Director of Genspect Canada, co-host of Beyond Gender, and author of the WPATH file, Mia Hughes. Mia, pleasure to see you again. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Lovely to see you both.
So we are speaking.
Me and you actually follow each other on X. We've engaged a little bit. This is sort of like my wheelhouse issue. So this is why I was excited when Nico had brought you on. Kind of fangirling over here a little bit.
We followed each other for years. I'm a big fan of yours too.
You guys need a room? You guys want me to leave? Should I come back later?
I appreciate that. That's really nice.
You're searching for tone, I see.
Compliment room. I'll just take compliments.
Yeah, he was just getting bashed by the audience, so I guess a compliment is Rob deserved one. So thank you, Mia, for complimenting Rob, because he doesn't get a lot of them.
Well, look at this guy. Rob is the only liberal I like. I appreciate that.
Well,
Canadian.
See, there you go. So there you go. That's a compliment too. So Mia, I wanted to have you on because of something that happened at the Conservative Party National Convention last week. We are talking about Motion A-16-1282 third. I wanted to set the record straight because I looked at it, I looked at the video, I researched the actual motion itself, and I was disgusted as somebody that's a small C conservative. I'm not a fan of the Conservative Party because they're liberals. They're not conservatives. But I wanted to bring in an expert to make sure that I wasn't smoking something too hard, that I actually knew what I was talking about. So can you can you succeed at explaining to us what that motion was all about and what the big deal is that it did not pass?
Okay, so it's a little bit confusing. I'll do my best to explain. I happen to somewhat agree with everyone who has commented on this, so I'm not going to be very controversial today, I don't think, in that like I have it here because it was worded really strangely. And so
that's why I'm asking, because it's very weird that it reminds me of technical exams that I would take. They wouldn't just ask the damn question. They would make the question sound like a question that confuses you in how to answer it. That's why I wanted to have you on.
Okay, so the way they worded it is the motion was somebody from Kitchener Centre had written it. The proposal is that they believe that parents have the right to arrange for body-affirming talk therapy for their gender-confused child And it says, we oppose the federal conversion therapy ban, which criminalizes parents for doing so. So that's like the top line that everybody was voting on. Now, it's unusual language, body affirming talk therapy, sure. I mean, it's a strange way of putting it, but we all want our children, we all want these children to accept their bodies as they are, accept themselves for who they are, and they don't need body parts chopped off. I actually think perhaps where they went wrong is we oppose the federal conversion therapy ban. Just that section there, because it seems to have triggered a wave of people thinking that the Conservatives are now trying to bring back gay conversion therapy. That seems to be where all of the uproar and the upset has come from. And it's just unfortunate wording. First of all, let's talk about C4. I'll just give a quick brief overview of that. So this passed in 2021. It was, excuse me, it's an interesting thing that transactivism has done, in that all of a sudden, in the 2010s and into the 2020s, everybody starts to fear gay conversion therapy, as if gay rights didn't happen, as if we've gone back in time, it's the 1950s, and everybody's trying to do gay conversion therapy on kids and adults. That's not true. Nobody was doing gay conversion therapy. It's just a thing of the past. Gay rights is over. And the reason that we're all suddenly so concerned about conversion therapy is because trans activists want to sneak into law this transition on demand. You cannot try, and there's no psychiatric guardrails. If I want to have my penis chopped off, I'm damn well going to have my penis chopped off, and you can't try and talk therapy me out of it. That's why we have this stupid conversion therapy ban. It's got nothing to do with gay conversion therapy, because nobody's doing that. And it's all about trans activists wanting these medical interventions on demand with no barriers, no safeguards or anything. And so I think it's just really unfortunate wording. When I watched the whole thing, I just thought, I'm right here. You could have had me draft your policy. It would have made sense. It wouldn't have had this confusion in it. And we could have actually got somewhere, because there is a problem with C4. There is a problem with this conversion therapy ban and the wording of it. And it does need to be sorted out. But that proposal was not the way to do it.
So what
now,
was the
my
problem?
question to you, Mia,
just before you go, Rob, because she said, just tell me how you would have liked that motion to be worded, because it seems, because it was all about the wording, because I was reading it and I'm like, I understand, but why does it need to be so damn complicated? Why are you talking double negatives instead of just saying it out loud? This is what we want. So in your opinion, oh wow, that's quite the wow! Like, we didn't believe you that you're British, huh? Like, is that like,
I have like
most British, yeah, full on character.
Like, we didn't believe you. Yeah, yep, 100%. So can you tell us how you would have phrased it if the Conservative Party would have called you and say, "Hey, Mia, we need your help because we don't know how to draft motions properly. We need your help." Can you tell us how to word this motion so that people are in favor of it?
I mean, I can. It would require, I think it's really very simple. It's just you've really got to zoom in on what the problem is. And with the conversion therapy ban, you can get muddled and you can get lost in all the stupid language that they dress these things up in to disguise the real meaning. But the truth of the matter is, with C4, with this conversion therapy ban, all you need to do is take out all mention of gender identity. You can leave. We can still have a ban on gay conversion therapy that nobody's doing anyway, and it's totally pointless. But sure, if you want to leave that in, that's fine. But see, this conversion therapy ban, which was C4, you have to take out all mention of gender identity. And it's quite simple in that the reason for that is gender identity is not a coherent concept. It's not an immutable trait. It's not in any way clearly defined. It's not something that is fixed. And it's just an oversimplification that puts a veil over the real reasons why, the complex reasons why an individual may, at some point in their life, identify as transgender, think that they need to have body parts chopped off. So I wrote a piece for Macdonald Laurier, I think it was in October, November, and it's the starting point of the work that I'm doing on gender identity, trying to get anyone, Canadians, all Canadians, to understand that the concept of gender identity is ideological gibberish. It is garbage. It has no meaning, and therefore it doesn't belong in law. And the problem with this policy resolution that they proposed is they're still using the language of trans activism. They're still kind of pretending that this new category of human being exists and they have an invisible gender essence within them, and all of it's nonsense. Take it out of law, get rid of it, ideological garbage. And if you want to protect trans-identified people, then look at who they really are, like what gender identity really means. Some men are turned on by the thought of having female body parts. Do we want to protect that in law? If we want to, let's have that actual debate. Some are homosexuals with internalized homophobia who don't want to be gay and don't want to be gender non-conforming in the world, so they want to have body parts chopped off. Do we want to protect that in law? Look at who these people really are, and then we can have a real conversation. But don't play their language games. Gender identity doesn't exist, and it's gibberish.
Yeah, it's I know what you mean. As you say, they're still acting like it's a real thing, right? It's almost like a black hole. You can't see it. You infer its presence by how it affects other things around it. It's the same kind of thing. You can see how just the way, even when they're trying to, pass a bill that is, a good step in the right direction, they're still a slave to the language. I listened to you discuss there about how much sort of confusion this is causing. I mean, to me, it almost seems like that's almost certainly a feature and not a bug, right? Because how much are these how much do the trans activists have a say in this, writing this bill? Because to me, obviously, the history of this movement. The first thing they did, it's based on changing the meaning of words, right? That's why they harp on pronouns. That's why they, the news media reports, they say, trans women are women, and you say that enough, and they correctly understand that words have power, and so word games is at the heart of this whole movement. So to me, I assume you're probably giving them a little bit of good faith, but surely you must probably, or at least, what's your opinion? Like, do you think that these guys did this on purpose, and this confusion is a feature and not a bug?
Undoubtedly. I mean, if you trace back the concept of gender identity, you're going back to, I don't really start with John Money, Robert Stoller in the 1960s. They had a completely different idea of what they came up with gender identity, but it was totally different idea to what we have now. The gender identity concept that we have today starts in the 1990s, and it really truly was deliberately crafted so that they could trans-identified people, most of them were the men turned on by the idea of having female body parts being women. Most of them, they wanted to hide what really was motivating them, and then they wanted to just sanitize it. And so the very concept is deliberately hiding the real truth of what motivates people to identify as transgender. And the reason that they did that, twofold. One is so that they could get the full unfettered access to the hormones and surgeries that they so desperately desired, and that meant excluding psychiatry, because they saw psychiatry as the barrier. You had to go through these psychiatric assessments and hoops and all the rest of it, and somebody could deny you. So they want to get rid of all of that. And gender identity, look, it's just this inner gender essence. It's just this mismatched gender soul, and you're perfectly healthy and everything's fine. And then, of course, the other reason is they wanted, these men want to actually be women. And the only way that a man can actually be a woman is if you obliterate the concept of woman, the meaning of the word woman, and reinvent it with your magical gender essence that you've pulled out of thin air and created and thrown in as a pseudo legal concept. And then it just makes its way into human rights codes. It makes its way into C-16, the federal criminal code. And then the final one was this conversion therapy ban. And I find it actually excruciatingly embarrassing to read the conversion therapy ban, to know that I live in a nation where supposedly the brightest minds, the leaders of this nation, saw fit to use the word cisgender in a law. Yes. The word cisgender, and it's not even that. I have it, I printed it before this, and it says, there's one of the lines in there that you are forbidden, it's conversion therapy, to repress a person's non-cisgender gender identity. It says non-cisgender gender identity in one of our laws. Wild. Is that not just painfully embarrassing? What absolute garbage? Who is in charge here? So yeah, we need to, I would rewrite this conversion therapy ban and get rid of all that. Get rid of all the stupid, embarrassing, garbage, gibberish nonsense, and have a law that actually, describes something real.
So I'm a conservative. I'm a Christian first and foremost. So I'm a Christian conservative. I'm the worst enemy of the trans agenda out there. I'm their paper boy. Well, I'm their poster boy. Sorry. And I look at what's happening with the Conservative Party of Canada, and considering that they voted in favor of Bill C-4, like they supported that bill. And now I look at their convention where they're playing the same game. They're playing the word game. And I've had a lot of conversations with Billboard Chris. I met him. And one of the things that he was very harsh, because we recorded some content and I remember publishing something, and in the title, I said something. I can't remember exactly what the word is, but he's like, you have to take that down. You have to change that title because you're enabling them. You're using their language and I will never use their language. That's something that Billboard Chris is very strong on. I will not call you what you want to be called. I will call you what you are. Yeah. And I look at what the Conservative Party is doing, and they're playing the same game. They're making it extremely confusing, just like Bill C-4, and they were in favor of Bill C-4. So does that kind of bother you that the Conservative Party, the people that should be against this absolute nonsense, are in favor of it? And one thing I always say here, and that's why I record with a liberal as a Christian conservative, is because a lot of the issues that we talk about are not left versus right issue. I'm a parent, and my kid is never going to go through the indoctrination center that we call schools, because I know what they do to people there. But this is a common sense. This is not a left versus right issue. This is really a parent's right to protect their children from that nonsense that's being pushed everywhere that we look, it seems like. So are you disappointed by the Conservative Party that they continue to play the same game and they refuse to take a stance as simple as saying women have vaginas, men have penises? Done. We've talked about this, Rob and I, all the time. That little guy in Kindergarten Cop, you've seen that? That dude was brilliant. What he said there was obvious back then, but today it's debatable for some people. So do you think
Nazi, that little kid?
that little kid was transphobic, racist, everything.
Yeah.
So are you disappointed by what you're seeing coming out of the Conservative Party, that they won't even stand for women?
Of course I'm disappointed. I've been disappointed in them for going on 6 years now. And I'm, Rob, I'm from the left. I was embarrassingly, I was woke. I always voted left, and then the left went mad and I left the left. I'm one of those refugees. And so, I am disappointed. You're right. It should not be a political issue. Take the atrocious medical scandal of pediatric gender medicine. You can even extend it beyond pediatrics to anyone. This is an atrocious medical scandal, and it absolutely should not be a left-right issue. But it is a left-right issue because the left took on this cause and champion it and protect trans kids, and they vilify everybody who dares to say, well, you know, maybe it's not a good idea to chop the healthy breasts off 16-year-old girls. And so the left made it a political issue. And then they're constantly pointing their finger at Danielle Smith saying, oh, you're making this medical thing political. And it's like, well, you actually did that in the first place. But yeah, the federal conservatives, I mean, because it's such a mess and because it's such an atrocious scandal and it's such a terrible crime, and then expanded into women's spaces and just the absurdity of nobody's even allowed to state basic facts about human existence. It's such a catastrophic, insane, devastating scandal and cultural disaster that the only way out of it is with bold leadership. And certainly that's not going to come from the NDP or the Liberals. But it's not coming from the Conservatives either. And, you know, there was talk in the debate on this one particular resolution where, you know, they don't want to get into culture war issues and this whole, like, it's all settled, the LGBT stuff, it's all settled. It's really not settled. Are you kidding? We're living in absolute mayhem and chaos. And the only way out of it, I don't know how this is going to go down with you or your viewers, but think whatever you like about Trump, but he's getting this right. Every executive order.
No, it'll go down well.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying anything about Trump.
You're talking to the right crowd here. No, you're talking to the right crowd.
Right, he's getting everything right on this. But I mean, we don't necessarily need a Trump, but we need someone. We need someone to just, with clear-eyed precision,
unambiguous,
Yeah, just get rid of all of the nonsense. It's not even that complicated, is it? Yes, women are female, men are male, and it's wrong to chop body parts off adolescents. No child is born in the wrong body. These are simple, basic facts about human existence.
Slogans got us into this mess, right? Slogans can get us out.
Well, it's not even really slogans, just basic facts about human existence and reality.
But repeat it again and again and again, because that is how, you know.
Yeah, no nonsense, speaking facts clearly, concisely, without apology. That's my thing all along, is don't be afraid to describe reality. Don't be afraid to say that this is a crime, what's happening to kids in gender clinics. Don't be afraid to say that women are female and they deserve the right to female-only spaces. Just speak basic facts. And yeah, the Conservatives, it's not even complicated, but they just won't. I don't know. There's no courage there. They need to be bold, and they're not being bold.
They should have just brought Buck Angel on stage. I had the chance to interview him a couple of years ago, and that guy, that's the only woman I call guy, because she messes with my head, but she said it from the get-go when I talked to her. I told her, I'm a Christian conservative, and I want to talk about your psychological problem. That's basically how I approached her. And she's like, yeah, I have a mental issue. I present as a man because it makes me feel better, but I'm not a man. So they should just bring her on to explain what a woman is, what a man is, and to make sure everybody's on the same page. But
okay,
Rob,
but may I disagree?
Yeah. No, you're not allowed to. Nope, not allowed. Of course.
Only agreement on this
me,
show,
please.
Yeah.
I will say, first of all,
disagree.
Put me on the stage. Because honestly, there's no one in the world who has a better understanding of this moment in human history than me. There may be people who understand it as well as I do, but I can tell you now, nobody understands this better than I do. And
wow,
that's
good
because
for you.
I've been completely fixated
Sorry, Mia,
and
good for
obsessed
you.
with it.
Good for you. That is some bold statement.
I feel completely confident saying it.
I think
Here's the other thing. Can I just say, Buck Angel? So there is a problem. How do I put this? I actually know a number of butch lesbians who had their breasts cut off and took testosterone because they came across Buck Angel at a difficult time in their life. They were struggling, and they saw that medical path that Buck Angel had gone down was the solution to their pain. And now they're at the end of it, and they have no breasts, and they have a beard and whatever, and they regret it. So while I'm not saying that trans-identified people need to be completely, locked away or anything, I'm not saying that. I do not think that we need trans-identified role models. I don't think that they are people that you put on a stage and have a public voice, because it is a dangerous pathway to go down. Just like I would say, I've known people struggle with anorexia. Yeah, I've known people struggle with anorexia. I don't think they should be vilified or demonized, but I don't think they should be role models put on a stage to talk about dieting or the politics.
The only reason I was bringing Buck Angel is because she's not scared to say that it is a psychological problem.
But nor am I. Put me on the stage.
No, and I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you, but often people want to hear from people they can relate to. And I don't believe I'm a woman. Believe me. So what she said on there you go. What she said to me made sense in a way that at least I'm hearing honesty that there is a psychological problem, because that's, as a third party, as somebody that knows from the get-go that I've read the definition in the DSM, it is a psychological problem, just like having bulimia. There's no difference, like you were saying about anorexia. I'm not going to go to them for advice on my diet. That's for damn sure. So I'm not going to go with somebody that believes they're a man.
If they can't transition.
But how do you address that? How do you address it? How do you address that if even our conservative party don't have the balls? Well, that's a great pun. They don't have the balls to actually say that men have penises, women have a vagina, and if you think otherwise, you have a psychological problem that needs to be addressed and not encouraged.
Yeah, well, that's a huge part of the problem, and that all ties in with this gender identity nonsense, and it all ties in with the entire decades-long campaign of trans activism that they forbid anyone from saying that it's a mental illness. That's stigmatizing, and that's bigotry, and that's transphobia. So that is completely where the conversation has to go back to. I, as well, not with Genspect Canada, but I'm also with Genspect International, and I have a whole campaign. It's a very long, multi-syllable word, re-psychopathologization. So they did de-psychopathologization, where they made a mental illness not a mental illness, just a healthy state of being. And I have a campaign to re-psychopathologize, which is turn it all back. It very clearly is a mental disorder. And the problem with denying, when someone has a mental disorder, you're not helping them by denying the existence of their mental disorder. Someone's schizophrenic, you're not helping them by pretending that, yes, aliens are communicating with you, but through the radio. That's not going to help them. And so it's not the way to reduce stigma is to deny the existence of the mental illness. The way to reduce stigma is to help the individual overcome the mental illness and function better in life and society. So it's all tied in for me, and I have no problem saying that thinking that you are a member of the opposite sex and wanting healthy body parts chopped off is a sign of mental disorder. I have no problem saying that at all. But Canada's not ready for that conversation. I even did a talk in Albuquerque where I launched this re-psychopathologization campaign in September. And believe me, the world blew up. I triggered this international firestorm of fury where trans activists were basically saying that I wanted them all confined to a mental asylum. I wanted a genocide. Then they started calling for a blood hunt of my organization, and they wanted our eyeballs collected and stuff.
The most dramatic people ever.
I know. and you're not proving that this is not a mental disorder by calling for a blood hunt collection of my eyeballs. You're not really doing much to prove that you are completely mentally healthy. So it's going to take a long time. People don't realize that trans activism started this in the early 1990s. And they they were very dedicated, and they played the long game, and they pushed all of these crazy ideas into every layer, every institution, into law, into public policy, into healthcare, and for decades. And so it's not just going to go away overnight. We have a long fight ahead of us to restore reality. But what we have, that's the key. We have reality on our side. We don't have to create this whole new bonkers world and force everyone to live in it by threatening to ruin them and collect their eyeballs if they disagree. We don't have to do that. We actually have reality. We just need to reinstate it. And that is not going to happen with the conservatives tiptoeing around the issue and not wanting to offend anyone. I'm sorry, but people are going to be offended. If reality offends you, then you're going to be offended when reality comes back. And I'm sorry, but you're going to have to learn, you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that.
Yeah, and to the point about trans activists and they're trying to depathologize it. It's not even like that simple. Like, it's even sneakier than that, because they'll play both sides. They'll depathologize it when it helps them, like when they want to say, oh, they're fine, it's not a mental illness, but they play up the mental illness when it does benefit them, right? When they say, oh, we have to give this teenager drugs because he's going to kill himself if we don't. Well, you can't make that argument without implicitly agreeing that this is a mental illness. Mentally healthy people don't kill themselves because they can't cut their breasts off. So no. they don't even just want to depathologize it. They want to be able to use it as a pathology when it benefits them, and use it when it doesn't.
Well, okay, I have to say that I think, as much as I dislike what they've done, their campaign, their strategy was absolutely flawless and audacious too. What an audacious plot. And so the best thing that they did, the cleverest thing that they did in this whole de-psychopathologization and new reality thing, was in 2013, and this is WPATH, World Professional Association for Transgender Health, in building up from 2010 to 2013, they start pressuring the American Psychiatric Association. The diagnosis at the time was gender identity disorder. So the disorder, the mental disorder, is the gender identity. It is the fact that you believe that you are a member of the opposite sex. And they didn't like that. They thought that's pathologizing. So they pressure the APA to change it to gender dysphoria. And when they did that, gender dysphoria means gender distress. So the identity, you have a mismatched gender soul, you have a mismatched gender identity, that's healthy. That's not the mental disorder. The mental disorder is the distress that you feel because you have that mismatched
with
identity.
That little linguistic sleight of hand, they can play both sides as much as they want.
Absolutely genius. I mean, they've gone even further. They went even further with the World Health Organization, International Classification of Disease, ICD. In 2018, they took it a step further and they got gender incongruence. And that diagnosis is completely mental. The diagnosis is you have, your body and mind do not match, and you want medical treatment to bring your body in line with your mind. That's the diagnosis. Wanting medical treatment means you get the diagnosis and therefore you get the medical treatment. It's like the treatment and the diagnosis are one and the same. And so that was their crowning achievement, basically. They achieved full and complete access to medical interventions on demand the moment that they got that diagnosis. Yeah. But it's all activist crafted. It's all written by trans-identified people who have done this to their body and are hardcore believers in the idea that they are some new type of human being, and then they have the power and the political might to get it into the DSM and the ICD.
That's and crazy. Then you have guys like Dr. Jordan Peterson that loses his license for calling a woman a woman. That's how powerful they are. That's powerful when you think about it.
Didn't he call her it? because she was a they them. She was one of those brand new types of human beings, neither male nor female, one of those they them amorphous blobs, no sex whatsoever. And he was just making fun of that. He just made a joke and called her it, which is, I mean, if you're going to go with they them, why not go it? It's all the same.
I think that's the perfect pronoun. It is the perfect pronoun. I love it. Or transformer. They should call themselves Transformers. I really like that one too. Be honest. If you want to be honest, be honest.
I've got. I just have one more question, and then Nico, if you have another one, you can, or we can just wrap it up. But Mia,
we can talk about this all the time. But
yeah. I know. Okay, I can say it. And actually, it's, to be honest, it isn't even a question. It's more of a comment. I get back to what you were saying about words and how important it is. I really think that's worth like highlighting again and bringing out. We were kind of talking about how disappointed the Conservative Party is, or you are in them, and it's just like it's such an easy. It's such an own goal for not taking this opportunity, right? Because there's a ton of sane, normie, left-leaning people like you and like me, right? I think most of us have probably, this very same sort of origin story, like me and you, and a lot of the people in our little sort of X corner of X there, I think are mostly left original. And the thing is as when you first come over, like you still do kind of play the game a little bit, right? And that's why I think it was so important we brought up Billboard Chris, or Nico was saying how he harps on language so much, right? That's the kind of stuff you have to learn, because you're like, oh shit, yeah, I am contributing to this by playing the game. And that's why I think it's worth highlighting, because there's a lot of quote unquote normies out there who really would be as opposed to this as all of us are if they even knew what was going on, right? A lot of this stuff is happening sort of behind the scenes. And it's just like the Conservative Party's like, I think it's super important for them, not that they would listen to me on political advice, but I feel like if they just use phrases like you used, right? Say, men can't be women, use clear, concise language, and also actively start separating the LGB from the TQ, right? Because that's going to dull any future attack, because that's the one attack that they have, right? I think they absolutely made the language of this conversion therapy bill in such a way that they can now attack the right for opposing it, right? Because it's against LGBTQ conversion therapy, and the Conservatives have not separated that in the way that, say, we have on X. Anyone who is engaged in this debate understands, right? LGB and TQ are completely separate, because essentially the TQ plus is just a parasitic movement that latched on to a much more successful gay rights movement and is dragging it to the bottom. And we see that in poll after poll.
No question.
Rob. Oh boy! Wow, I'm impressed. Rob's using
this is my
big
wheelhouse,
words.
brother.
Do I have time to make one more?
Yes, 100%.
Yes,
go for
absolutely.
it.
Okay, so on that, it's really important. First of all, that's a really important point. This LGBTQ community does not exist, and that's what I was saying about the conversion therapy ban. If I were to write that proposal, I would simply tell them, take out gender identity, because it doesn't belong there. Yes, you can protect homosexual individuals from non-existent conversion therapy and pretend that you live in the 1950s, sure, but take out gender identity because it doesn't belong. And that's the LGBTQ. So it's not just that they don't have anything in common, it's that they're in direct conflict with each other.
Opposition.
So exactly, opposite. The TQ is an attack on the LGB, because think about it, if a man says he's a woman, he's a heterosexual man, he says he's a woman, he thinks he's a lesbian. Lesbians are transphobic if they say that they don't want him in their dating pool. It's very homophobic. Same works with gay men and the women who think that they're men, but to a lesser extent. And then at the same time, it's a double-pronged attack, because at the same time, you've got all of these kids who are being labeled as trans kids. They're just extreme gender nonconformity in childhood is a strong indicator of homosexuality in adulthood. So all of the kids who would just be destined to grow up to be gay are being told that they're trans instead, and then they're put on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and they have, all the surgeries. And so the irony of ironies, the darkest of all ironies, is the conversion therapy ban makes it so that medically converting the bodies of gay and lesbian teenagers is the only option in these clinics. It's truly the darkest of ironies. But no question that they deliberately put gender identity, they deliberately tied it to the gay conversion therapy. That's a tactic, a well-known tactic in trans activism, is they knew that all of their their laws and their crazy policies and everything would be very unpopular because they're mad, right? Self-ID, a man just gets to say, I'm a woman, and he's a woman, he magically transforms into a woman and goes into women's spaces. That's insane. So they're saying, if you want to push through self-ID, tie it to, I don't know, gay marriage. Or if you want to push through full unfettered access to hormones and surgeries on demand, call it conversion therapy, and then tie it to gay conversion therapy. Tie it to something that most people in a Western democratic society will support, and just slip it in. It's called the Denton's tactic in our world. It's a well-known tactic.
That's the gay rights movement is well honed. It's already deep into the public consciousness.
Yeah, that was
very clever.
It's very, very clever. That's what I'm saying. They really did so well. And there's more to it than, I mean, there's so much that they did. They played the long game. Like when I was a stupid woke I was never a trans activist, but when I was stupidly woke and I wasn't really questioning any of this, and my friends are saying, oh, trans women are women. I'm like, oh, sounds a bit weird, but sure, why not?
You repeat it, but you don't think about it.
You don't think about it, but I grew up in England, and I grew up on a very steady diet of Coronation Street. And in Coronation Street, there was a character called Hayley Cropper. Hayley Cropper was a trans woman, played by a woman. This is a female actor. It's a woman. They put Hayley Cropper into Coronation Street in the 1990s. Trans activism did that deliberately to prime the British public so that in 2004, when they pushed through the Gender Recognition Act, everybody's thinking Hayley Cropper when they're thinking trans women. But Hayley Cropper was played by a woman. So they manipulated us, then they primed us, and they got these characters, and they're very, sympathetic, and they're heart-wrenching stories. They primed us with popular culture while at the same time laying the groundwork. You guys were talking about conspiracy theories before you let me in. I'm sure maybe a lot of people are thinking, goodness me, this woman's a crazy conspiracy theorist, but all of what I'm saying is true. This is actually what they did. It's all true.
I picked this book. I don't know if you ever read Radicals by Saulé Alinsky.
No,
but this book explains how they did it. It was written in the 1970s. He explains how to take over, how to push. His whole point is, how do you give power to radicals to push their ideas? He was the mentor to Hillary Clinton. He was also, Obama was a big fan of him. And you can see that the trans movement in the US would have never happened if it wasn't for Obama. Obama kind of widely kicked the door open and, let's go, crazies. Let's go. You're in. Your turn, tag.
Well, I think it would have gone anyways. They used Obama for sure, but it was a pretty powerful.
But the point I'm making is that
Democrats. I fell for Obama. He was so charismatic, and looking back, I realized, goodness me.
But rules for radicals, Obama was a fan of Alinsky, so it's not surprising when you start looking at what Hillary Clinton stands for, what Obama stands for, and you realize that they were. Either that was their mentor, or there's pictures of Obama with this on his bedside table, like it's there. So you're sending a message. We get it, but it's if you've never read it, it's one of those books that is brilliant but extremely frustrating, because you're like, you're so smart that you're gonna yes it's gonna work, but it's evil.
Interesting. I'll put it on my list.
It's a frustrating book to read. It pisses me off to read it. So. Rob, did you have any other question for you?
No. We could go all night. But yeah, at some point we probably have to stop this. We're already 15 minutes over. But it's been an excellent conversation, Mia. I really appreciate you coming on. It was great to put a sort of finally meet in real life after years of just sort of running the same social media circles. But we'd love to have you back on anytime. We kind of collect friends of the show here, and if there's ever a time or an opportunity to come on, we'd love to have you. Actually, finally, before you go, what do you think about the main Poilievre thing that happened today? Where
of course,
said, I'm a dude. I'm a man.
I mean,
are you serious?
He did.
Yeah,
of course. I will tell you,
he didn't say I'm a man. He said I do have. What was the gene that he
the
said?
SRY. It's the SRY.
there you
He's
go.
got the SRY.
SRY gene.
Yeah, gene.
And they talked about it like that's a birth defect or something. That's just the thing that makes you a man. Every male has it.
Oh, he's male,
and no females have it. Yeah, he's just a dude.
I will say the reaction I had, of course, not surprised. We knew he was a man. The reaction I had, and I have this all the time when because the TERFs are always right, basically, and eventually it comes out that we were right. But I had this kind of impulse to go on Facebook, find all those little twerps that I was fighting with about this obviously being a man beating up a woman and posting it, but then I thought that's just not a good use of my time, so I'm not going to do that. But that was my overwhelming response to it, was to just go and find all the people and be like, ha, I told you.
I come from a martial art background. I was in martial art for almost 20 years. I fought in the ring, and it's just insane that they'd have allowed a dude to beat on women.
And
how
so
feminist?
How
we're not feminist?
Wild,
massive shoulders. He almost had an Adam's apple.
I know.
Like literally, they didn't even try to hide it. It's a dude. It's literally a dude.
It's a dude, bro.
It shows how easily manipulated we are. We don't want to be bad people, so we're going to pretend that this bloke that's beating up women is a woman because it makes us a bad person to believe otherwise. It just shows how easily manipulated people are.
It's wild.
Well, Mia, thank you.
Why this is effective.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show, Mia. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Like Rob said, I like to collect friends. When there's there's a topic that needs to be addressed, I like to have experts as much as I do a lot of research. I'd much rather have somebody that should be drafting motions for the Conservative Party on the show to speak about this than just me. So thank you very much. And the same goes to you. If there's something you're doing or something you're working on, if you're doing a promotion tour, we will happily have you back on to speak about what you're doing. So keep up the good work. And yeah, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you both. And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Great to have you on, Mia.
Night.
Appreciate that.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you go, buddy. That was for you.
Yeah, great.
That was for the topic, and that was for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
I'm trying to get Teal Fleury on. I want to get Teal Fleury on. I know. That's one of the reasons why I want you to fangirl a bit. So,
all right, let's put a pin in there. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that chat as much as we did. It looked like from the comments that we definitely did. Do you guys actually? Do you guys? We're gonna try to. Me and Nico were talking the other night. We're gonna try to get guests as a more of a regular thing, as a regular format. Is that something you guys would like? Kind of, it's not every show, but lately it's been, the first half hour.
It's like 15 show in a row now.
Second half hour is a guest of some sort, which isn't the official format, but it's almost kind of, we're leaning that direction. And if you guys let us know, tonight and just over the course of the next couple of days, if you guys agree with that decision, because obviously everything we're doing here is geared towards our audience.
And send me requests, guys.
Excellent.
Before you go there, all I'm going to say, guys in the chat, if there are people you think we should have on, if there are guests you want to have on, info@nicolagan.com, send them to me. I reach out to people all the time. I have an ad for it. I will happily reach out to people I don't know in order to bring them on the show. So if there's something, I look for topics. So whatever I want to talk about, I find experts to come address it. But if there's people out there that you want on the show, let me know. People wanted Ian Runkle on the show, and guess what? I fucking got him yesterday after months of trying. So I'm a bulldog. I'm a pit bull for this stuff. So tell me who you guys want to see on the show, and I will get them.
I fucking died when someone in the chat was like Legolas. I was like, yeah, looks exactly like Legolas. The bow and arrow.
He
was. Lord of the Rings.
He was just missing. He was just missing the pointy ears. That's all he was missing.
Yeah, that's all it was. But then I saw his name, and it was like the Duke of Runkle or something. I was like, oh shit, almost like, is he trying to look like Legolas? Because now I'm thinking he's like just one of those fantasy guys. I think that just might be one of his things.
It's possible with the hair. It's very, very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
majestic hair, right?
He definitely seems
something that
he definitely seems.
And I know my fair share about hair.
Yeah, you know.
I know a lot about hair. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great interview. He seems like he's kind of an interesting guy like that. Great interview.
Wouldn't
with Mia
surprise
today
me
as well. But yeah, capped off a strong week. Lots of great shows, guys. Have an excellent weekend. Be safe. Have fun, and we will catch you Sunday night. Kick off next week.
Actually, you didn't do your pitch right, guys. Make sure to like. Make sure to comment. Make sure to share. If you're not part of our YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. If you want to participate in supporting independent media, we do have a QR code at the top left. You can become a member on our YouTube channel, but at the end of the day, like Rob always says, the goal that we want is to have you back and commenting. So if that's all you can offer, we will take it very, very much. And you know what? Derek is saying that Runkle of the Bailey, which is Ian Runkle.
That's what his name was. Runkle of the Bailey.
is very D&D like. Yes, 100,000%. So on that note, guys, we'll see you on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Peace.
Peace.